Hello, planet Earth. Welcome to Circle. My name is Brooke Nicole.
I'm Amber.
What are your names? Please let us know. There's some things we'd like to talk about today. We just all moved through a good, beautiful flower full moon energy. And as those of us who are tuned into it or not, are feeling the feelings right now as we have released a lot of stuff that doesn't serve us anymore, as we have opened the channel and called in the good big energies that will replace those things that don't serve us anymore. We might be feeling some kind of way. Raw, we might be feeling raw, we might be feeling in a space of grieving, we might be feeling in a space of confusion, a space of peace or pause, because like, what just happened, you know? That's the kind of bigness that's kind of flowing in for me. I think for you too, based on what we've been talking about, and other people that I know, right? The collective is feeling it right now, because the earth is awakening. Planet Earth is awakening. All of you, all of us, we're all on this awakening pathway. And you say, what kind of awakening? You know, I wake up in my bed every day, I'm on, right? Like Free Guy, you know what I mean? And it's like, as we are awakening, it's not that. It's a spiritual awakening. It's this space of knowing that I am more than just this body, more than just this vessel, more than just this routine. That my soul calls for a bigger awareness now, a bigger resonance now. It's the awakening is multidimensional. It's expansive into the heart. That I know that that's not an expansive motion, but it's expansive into the heart in the way that your toroidal fields can become more and more and more expansive as it grows your heart field, as you grow your heart field. So I know I'm weaving in a whole lot of language here right now, to say that you might have been feeling your feelings as you grow and as you awaken right now, but know that these things that feel sticky and stuck and dense, that feel confusing, that cause you to pause and maybe sometimes question, is that the right answer? How can I possibly let that thing go? How can I possibly stop doing that thing? How do I take my next step? It's these things that don't feel so great, as they are releasing, as they are being, uprooted out of one pot and put into another, as you are going through the change, going through the portal, whatever it is that you're going through. That's that fire finger. I saw that. This stuff that's being scooped out, the stuff that feels the scoop, is what has called in this bigger, more expansive, more aligned and sovereign, sacred I am. Does that make sense? I hope so. I hope it makes sense. What do you think? Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
It's deep.
Yeah,
good.
It's deep. There's a lot, right? There's a lot. I know we were talking about triggers earlier, and that's one of the big buzzwords in woke communities and spiritual worlds and conscious speech and all of that. And there's a lot of things to say about that word in particular. But one of the things that I've been noticing, and you too, people with like clients and stuff, just people we talk to, that in this space of releasing the old and feeling those things that we're releasing to invite in the newness, triggers will be triggered. Triggers are touched. Triggers are touched. They're remembered. Things like that. And so I would like to talk a little bit more about that. Things that ways to bring grace into the space of trigger and release. So I invite you all to hear this with your heart, to take your deep breaths, and just allow this to be mind food for you. Just some mind food that is for consideration for your heart, your body, your systems to resonate with or not. And I offer this with love, and yeah, just so much love, so much grace to what it is that we experience in this awakening process, in the change, and you know, I want to offer that. So let's all be in this heart space as we receive words, because these things can be tender. Triggers are tender for a reason. So as we go through these changes, these lessons in life, the things that so for instance, we have a lesson, we have like a particular type of pattern in relationship, for instance, and we seem to always go for that same kind of person, and it's just like the same every time. Like, why do I keep attracting that type of person in my life? And so there's that mindset around, well, I'm calling that in because I haven't learned that lesson yet, in a universal consciousness kind of way, in a soul experience kind of way. We do these things over and over again until we learn the lesson, right? And that's why when we finally learn the lesson, we say, well, no more of that. I'm not doing that anymore. I know that if I touch the stove too many times, I'm going to burn myself eventually if it's on. You know what I mean? But in the relational space, once you come out of that pattern, once you learn that lesson, once you are released or freed from that dynamic, you no longer attract that, because you know that's not something that I want. So as you begin to attract the new, the things you pray for, the things you manifest, the things you're calling in, that you are aligning your emotional frequencies with, that you're aligning your words with, that you're aligning your actions with, that it's big, you know. This, instead of this old weird relationship pattern that you're in, you're instead calling in like the goddess, you know. You're calling in the one, and then when they get there and it's so big and you get this thing that you've been wanting, that you've been praying for, sometimes there are lessons that come back around, or just like an offering of a lesson, like, are you sure? Are you sure? This is for you. But this old way of being that's more comfortable, that you know about already, is here. And so all of that is part of what I now know to be Trigger City. Trigger City. Life lessons, the patterns that we used to be in, that we no longer are in, that we have learned from, the wisdom that we have, right? All of that stuff right there allows us to be in a space that when we are triggered by something, when we do see something happen, or we hear something, and it reminds us of something traumatic that happened in our lives, or something very emotional or painful or hurtful that happened in our lives, we can pay attention to what it's doing in our intelligent body system. And so I'm going to give two examples, okay, of ways that we can be with the trigger and the lesson. So, for instance, I had one happen to me once where I saw the thing happened. I saw the thing, and it punched my trigger. It was like boom, and my whole body was just like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here, and I did. Yeah, my body took me out of the room, and it was so visceral. It was the first time I had ever experienced something like that in a very conscious way, in an observing way. But I followed the body wisdom, and after I regulated my nervous system, and then came into conversation with the person that had done the thing. You know, there's nothing bad. It's nothing, you know, nothing bad. I was able to talk to them about it in a very good, conscious way. But because it had punched that trigger, it had reached in and boom, got me. when I came and I had talked about it, it was verified, the thing that I had been triggered about. That was true. Okay, so that's like this reminder, and based on the experiences that I've had, seeing that thing punch that trigger, and that was my key to move on or to release or let go. That makes sense, right? And so the other example is something similar. I saw a thing happen, and I was in a very conscious meditative state, and so I saw this thing happen. I was being very embodied and observant of what I was feeling and what I was thinking, observant of the thoughts in my head, what was mine, what was not, what was part of the 4D collective consciousness, what was just here in my 3D physical body, all of that. And so I saw this thing happen, and it sent me basically into this spin out in my mind. But because I was being in this container of heart space and awareness and holding grace for myself, I was able to kind of sit with it and feel it. I didn't confront the thing, it wasn't the time and place. And instead, in that space of stillness, I began to hear that inner voice whisper and tell me what the trigger actually was, what that thing was. And it was something that was deep in me. And if it had punched that trigger, if that one had got punched, and it was like, look out, my body might have taken me right out of that space again. But it didn't. Instead, it was like, be conscious and aware of this. This is a thing, and this is why it's a thing. Your intuition's telling you, look at that. It's triggering this thing. You're being made aware of this thing in your memory because you know what this looks like, feels like. You know what that looks like and feels like. And this right here, that's what that is. So I got to observe that. I got to observe how my body was responding. I got to observe myself in the space after that. And in this good space of regulation, I was able to then talk about it to the person and just share my experience and gain clarity around things. And so I think I'm going to kind of wrap this little trigger piece up for myself and maybe pass the mic. Being able to come into this space of awareness around change, that change is going to bring things up, that it's going to scoop things out, and there's going to be release when you are calling in the bigness that is your truth, your highest self, your essence, your highest self and your essence. When you're calling this in, these things, they get to move on out because you become too big for them. I hope that helps. I think way more to say. What do you think?
Yeah. I definitely feel like, for me, what I've learned about triggers is, again, just something that wants to be illuminated and loved.
Yeah.
It's definitely like opportunities for you to put your money where your mouth is and show up for yourself, like you said you would. The universe heard.
Yeah.
But also finding your happiness within you as opposed to outside. Circumstances, people will always let you down. And I don't say that as like a negative, like, yeah, get depressed. They'll always let you down. Like, no. But you have the ability to create your own experience. Your happiness is within you, not with outside of you. You know? The beautiful thing about co-creation is there are opportunities to grow and expand beyond your capabilities because you have that personal mirror with you. So the people closest to you, yeah, they're going to get on your nerves. They're going to show you the real, true you. They're going to be the most difficult, usually. They're just showing you yourself, giving you an opportunity, wanting and believing in you, you know. And if they don't, if they're out of alignment, if you've outgrown them, and that's possible, you will outgrow the people around you. You can set the example, or you can keep moving forward. And you have to be okay with that. Keep expanding, keep growing. More people will show up. Those old people that didn't want to come back in the day when you first started that growth and expansion, don't be surprised after years if they come back around. Everyone's on this journey. Everyone's just awakening, doing the best they can usually.
Yeah.
So, you know, in those moments of, am I going to use this trigger and react to it? Let circumstances control me? That person, what that person's doing that I have no control over or responsibility for? Yeah, I want people to show up just like me to a certain degree. Because I know it's possible to show up the way that I do. But it's a disservice. I want you to show up authentically yourself. Because in you doing that, you give me space to do it. You give others opportunity to do that for themselves. And I grow my biggest when you're authentically you. I grow the most around authentic people that aren't afraid to show me my blind spots, those trigger points, that dagger in my back, that chip on my shoulder, right? And it's my job to get curious and to investigate, not to shame myself. To say, hey, here's this opportunity. I'm going to do the same thing, try a different way. Reinvent myself. Go there. Grow there. Expand. Go beyond.
Forward.
You are far more capable than you think and believe. You're more expansive. You're more just alive than you've ever been. And there's always more to experience. If you dare. Just like the trigger wants to be illuminated, so do you. Your soul wants to be illuminated. Stop hiding me away. I want to see your soul glow. Show me you. Call me out. I'm about to walk off a cliff. Please step in before it happens. Thank you. I'll hate you in the moment, probably, but I'll thank you later. So I get my bearings. Like, oh, a cliff. Oh, okay. All right. Bruised knees, it's fine. It's fine. Thanks. I respect that. I value that. I want to be that friend. I want to be that for myself.
That's what you were talking about earlier, being accountable, taking responsibility for yourself. So beautiful. That's where we have to come into, like when we awaken into our hearts, when we turn our hearts on, that becomes the norm and the standard. Weird words to use right now, it feels, but that becomes the space that we just are in, you know. And so then it starts to become easeful to not have that resonance with people around us, to not be in spaces and places with situations and relational ways of being that don't support your health and your wisest pathway. It becomes more easeful to not go to the family function or the event or, you know, whatever, any list of things. Because as you call all of that in, right, as we are accountable for our own pathway and our resonance in the world, our shields become fortified and strengthened. Our boundaries become a loving invitation that, you know, can be hot fire coals to those who aren't ready to walk into the depths, But for those who are, it's a walk into heaven. It's a walk into heaven, and that's what this awakening pathway is. Truly, is knowing heaven here on earth in body. Heaven is knowing that source, that truth here in the body, and it is a gift. And we're all walking that pathway. All roads lead to source. All roads. So I think we're at time. We have like 30 more seconds. Is there anything else you would like to say?
No, just thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you again so soon. Thank you. Love you. Have a good night. Happy, holiday weekend and all of that. Peace and life.